versus Chelsea. Tottenham versus Manchester United. Premier League, live and exclusive on Astro Supersport 3 and Astro Go.
Exceeding 1.1 billion RMB in box office.
泰、劳、缅三不管地带犯罪的天堂。
那就干吧。Celestial Sunday HD. Hong Kong Film Awards. Best Director Dante Lam.
如果你跟我继续合作下去，你就得按照我的方法。
Eddie Peng.
我必须这么做。
Zhang Hanyu.
卡梅利戴德莫。
Hong Kong Film Awards Best Action Choreography. Celestial Sunday HD. Operation Mekong. May 14th, first and exclusive on Celestial Movies HD.
What does it take to become a superstar? Confidence, drive. As soon as they walk in a room, you just know. It's not just talent, it is superstardom.
All new, The Pop Game. Tuesday nights at 9 on Lifetime.
The E-League Street Fighter V Invitational. The world's greatest fighting game and its legendary characters take center stage in Atlanta. Bring it on! As the best of the best fight for the title of E-League champion. The E-League Street Fighter V Invitational.
On EGG.
You believe it?
Come on, Team Malaysia, we'll be cheering you on. Outdo yourselves
A bit of trickery there once again from Lee Chong-wei.
The entire nation is behind you, Team Malaysia. Feed off our support and let us be your strength on the court. Come on!
And Malaysia have topped Group D.
All eyes and hearts will be glued to the TV come the Sudirman Cup. Malaysia boleh!
New 100 Plus Active. No fizz with added vitamins.
That's what Real Madrid were wanting. Real are through.
Up top, Thomas to Johnson on a special delivery. And Giroud! That should do it for Arsenal. They're still at the races.
I know what you're thinking. No, this isn't Wednesday's repeat show. Yes, we are back. It's the sequel to the M&M show. Mark and Michelle on your screen for the next 30 minutes with a very packed show for you.
Yeah, Mr. Producer, why did you put me on the show with Michelle 2 days in a row? What is
Get
that
on with
all
it.
about?
You have news, apparently.
We have got some news. I've got some final good news for you Arsenal fans at last.
But not so good news for fans of Washington Wizards.
Some news for Man United fans before the return leg in the Europa League. I love saying that, Michelle. Europa League, I'm going to say it again.
Says the man that's not even in Europe right now. Okay, speaking of Europe, we first head over to the Vicente Calderon hosting its final Champions League match for Atletico Madrid. What better way to bid the arena adios, right? But it was also a very bittersweet end for so many reasons. Like the second leg of the Champions League semi-final against crosstown rivals, Real.
There's one back. Saul went in.
Hace 6 años que estamos dando la vida. Lástima que hay jugadores acá que no lo vamos a poder clonar, pero habría futbolistas que lo necesitaríamos clonar y si los años pasan y desgraciadamente van creciendo y el año que viene quizás no pueden rendir al mismo nivel, ojalá que sí, pero son increíbles.
The goal was that good, even Zizou had to clap. Wasn't the end of it either. Fernando Torres earned his side a penalty less than 5 minutes later. Rafael Varane with the foul on El Nino in the box. Antoine Griezmann making no mistake in doubling Atletico's lead. Diego Simeone probably wanted to clone the Frenchman too.
Estoy feliz, verdaderamente orgulloso, feliz. Competimos una vez más demostrando por qué hace 5 años y medio estamos luchando en los mejores lugares.
Is it just me or does he sound like he's saying goodbye to the club? Unfortunately, Atleti had to bid farewell to Europe after this.
And Isco! That's what Real Madrid were wanting. And it's come close to half-time. It's put a different complexion on the semi-final.
Después de los 25 minutos cambió totalmente. La segunda parte, como como te dijo Isco, encontramos sobre todo nosotros nuestro juego. Y sobre todo a Isco entre línea, que ha sido como siempre, cuando tienes a uno que se mete entre línea con su calidad, le hace daño al rival. Sobre todo la segunda vez seguido en una final, yo creo que es el trabajo de todos. Ha sido impresionante, no es todavía terminado, no se ha terminado aquí, porque todavía nosotros nos falta tres partidos de liga, muy importante, pero vamos a tener tiempo por pensar luego en la final. Por eso que contentos, la verdad es que contentos y orgullosos de todos los jugadores.
Jeng Jeng Jeng! It will be appearance number 15 for Real in the European Cup final. Only their 4th in the Champions League final, if you insist on being super specific. And no, it's not the most since the EC became the UCL. That honor falls on 2 clubs, AC Milan and Barcelona, who have made 6 appearances in the modern finale. Now, let's turn back the clock to when these 2 teams last met in the Champions League.
And Tevez has found the gap, and it's turned in by Morata. Alvaro Morata comes back to haunt his former club. Manages to feed Carvajal. It's a good return ball as well to James. Ronaldo! Who else? The man on the spot obliges. 1-1. Carvajal holds him up, and the referee points to the spot. Tevez restores the Juventus lead. He brings up his half-century of goals for the club.
It is absolutely wonderful, one of the finest sights and sounds in world football. Magnificent.
Rodriguez. All the referees given it. Chiellini can't believe it. He feels the Real Madrid have bought last. A reliable penalty saver in Buffon, but not this time. Ronaldo wins the war of nerves, and the tie tips back in Real Madrid's favour. Pogba's header back. It's Morata! As in the first leg, he doesn't celebrate, but inside he must feel triumphant on his return to the Bernabeu. Juventus back in pole position to get to the Champions League final.
I'm sure we can expect a cracking game right there.
Definitely.
Now, the Champions League final may already be set, but in the NBA, there are still 2 teams battling for a spot in the Eastern Conference final.
And as you all know, Game 5 of the series between Boston and Washington is currently tied at 2 apiece.
But there's some bad news for the Wizards. They've only won 2 of their last 10 games on the road. This is only in the playoffs against the Sea, so we all know who's got the upper hand in this one. And that was exactly the case for John Wall and gang. After the Wizards scored the first 4 points of the game, they allowed Boston to go on 16-0 blitz. And a huge chunk of them coming from fast break points like that. More evidence of that trend. Another turnover, another fast break. Isaiah Thomas with the alley, and Amir Johnson with the oop. More points in transition here. Avery Bradley, lonely. I'm Mr. Lonely.
They had 15 first quarter fast break points. They only ended up with, I think, 19. So we adjusted to that. It's just they got out to a big lead.
And that big lead continued to expand in the second Q thanks to this man, Bradley +1. Remember, Bradley had only 7 points in Game 3, 5 in Game 4, but had doubled those 2 outputs in the first half alone.
You know, I had no idea that Avery had 25 at halftime, and I had no idea that Isaiah had 1 field goal until I looked at the stat sheet, because we were making the right plays, and that's really all that you're looking for.
And his teammates kept looking for AB. Jay Crowder finding Bradley in the corner, and it's bingo. A career playoff high 29 points for Bradley, who apparently has some pre-game help. Boston take Game 5.
Bradley in the right spot, and he's got it stuck up automatic. How about that pass? That was...
Isaiah texted me for the game, Mike Gorman. They told me they felt like it was going to be a big game for me, and my mindset was just to come out and be aggressive.
Yep, really aggressive, because that was effectively the biggest margin of victory ever against the Wizards. Yes, they improved on the 18-point margin of victory from when the 1982 Boston team scored against the Bullets, as they were known then.
Scott Brooks was just sitting up here, and he said that he thinks their loss and the way they played tonight might have been a mental thing where they got a little comfortable after winning 2 games. It's only natural for that to happen in human nature. How do you guys prevent that from happening on your end going into Game 6, and how do you maintain the momentum and play with that level of intensity that you did tonight down there in Washington?
I think we just got to stay in the moment. We know what's at stake. We know it's going to be a hostile environment. We know it's going to be tough to get a win out there, but if we lock in like we did tonight, limit our turnovers, limit their transition, that gives us the best chance of winning that game. And we did a hell of a job tonight, from the first guy to the last guy. Coach made great adjustments, and we took what was off the whiteboard and put it in on the court, and we just got to do that on Friday.
Shifting our attention to the Western Conference semis, Game 6 between Houston and San Antonio will be live on SuperSport 4. Will San Antonio make it to their first conference final since 2014, or will the Beard be able to protect home court and force a Game 7? You can check out this game out live from 8 a.m. So much more on Daily this Thursday. After the break, the battle for 4th place in the Premier League.
And don't forget, we also had the biggest upset at the Madrid Open. Keep it locked on Daily for all the lowdown. We'll be right back.
What a superb run. And he finds the back of the net. What an extraordinary day he has had.
Got to score. Got to score. No excuses. How unlucky can you get?
There is no such thing as perfect. It had controversy, it had goals. That is football's 7th heaven.
Fans are very important for us. Thank you for the support, and keep going.
This broadcast of the Premier League is brought to you by Wanda Coffee. Try the new Wanda Extra Presso. Brickfields Asia College, the fastest and smartest way. And MyEG, your e-government service provider.
Did you know there's much more you can do with your Astro PVR than just record programs? It lets you pick and watch on-demand entertainment instantly. Click Home, then go to Settings, choose Network, then Wi-Fi. Pick your Wi-Fi network and key in your password. Now you're connected, and downloading your favorite program is even easier. Go to Home and choose On Demand. Select the menu and pick the program you like. Press OK and watch instantly.
You are back on Daily, where Arsene Wenger's men continue in their quest for a top 4 finish in the league. Despite going winless in their 2 most recent visits to St Mary's, the Gunners can find comfort in the fact that they're playing on a Champions League semi-final night after all. There you go, some good news. But on a serious note, Wenger's men have only won once in the last 5 away league matches going into this one, scoring just 3 in that time. So there was still a lot to do if Arsenal wanted to actually play in Europe next season. That fan trying to convince Arsene Wenger to stay, while Southampton were showing some unity. Some Gunners enjoyed some time all by himself. Danny Welbeck right there at the centre circle. Now, a few physical battles to pick out from this match. Alexis Sanchez was thinking, is this a football match or a WWE event? Minutes later, the Saints, with their best chance of the half, thankfully Mustafi and a certain Petr Cech came to the Londoners' rescue. And following that, the Gunners were hit by an injury. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain forced to withdraw with a hamstring problem. Wenger looking very, very concerned. Off interval, Sanchez tried to play Mesut Ozil through, but it all amounts to nothing. Wenger can't help but think, what if the roles were reversed?
Xhaka. Ozil, Sanchez, lovely turn. Alexis Sanchez still scores. Terrific goal. Just when the Gunners needed him most.
I knew that he's capable to do that. For us it was important because it was a goal. I think, I'm happy for him as well because a striker lives from goals, and I think, he did well to get one.
The goal he has scored tonight shows what he's about, you know, very good technique in a short space, scores important goals. No, it's not the 5-0. With the very short technique, he has invention in his head.
That was Sanchez's 20th league goal, enough to get Wenger off his seat. He can't help but think he can do no wrong here, sending Olivier Giroud on in place for Welbeck. Perhaps adding some strength to close out the game? Not if you're a man of Wenger's calibre. You dare to dream for even more goals.
There's intense look towards Sanchez, as he did for the goal. And Giroud! That should do it for Arsenal. Yes, and who knows? 3 wins might extend their remarkable top 4 record.
I believe that I never questioned the character of my side, and it's not because you lose games that people expect you to win that you have no character, but it happened to us. We went for a bad patch, and I believe that's a good opportunity to show your character, how you come back and how you recover, you know.
So that result helped Arsenal inch closer to that top 4 finish, but they have to hope Manchester City and Liverpool both step up in their remaining matches. Otherwise, the team from the north of London will have to settle for 5th place in the league.
Now, hopefully Sanchez will continue to show up when it matters for Arsenal. After all, he's got to live up to his world-class player status, right?
Well, did you know, Michelle, it was also his 14th Premier League away goal in this campaign?
Of course I know. Don't you dare pull that on me, Mark, okay?
Well, that means he scored 70% of his league goals this season away from home. Do you know that?
Congrats, you can count. But having said that, is that the highest away goal tally, though, in a single season by an Arsenal player?
That's a good one, but I don't think you should say that. I think we should leave it to our lovely viewers.
All right, our question for Trivia Thursday is, which Arsenal player has scored 14 or more Premier League away goals in a single season?
We will have the answer for you at the end of the show. And since I heard you're quite good at pub quizzes, Michelle, would you like to try and guess?
I'm going to think Thierry Henry, Dennis Bergkamp, Robin van Persie?
Well, here's a spoiler alert. It's not Francis Jeffers or the legend Nicholas Bentner. You'll have to wait like the rest of us to find out at the end, Michelle.
Then what's the point of asking me then? And to a team still competing in Europe, ahead of arguably the most important match for the season for Manchester United, Jose Mourinho and Wayne Rooney faces the press.
Would you like to stay?
Would I like to stay? I've been at this club 13 years. Of course, I want to play football.
Yeah. Okay.
Of course.
Jose, did the headlines in the story about Paul's transfer, does that affect you or does that affect the player at all?
We're not here to discuss that, we're just here to talk about the game.
No, but the question is simple. Okay. If he asks if affects, no, it doesn't affect.
Okay, now that we've clarified that, Mourinho also explained why he decided to guide United to next year's Champions League via the Europa League and not the usual way of finishing high enough in the Premier League.
No, the situation is simple. 17 matches in 7 weeks with 16 players is impossible. It was not a gamble. It was a simple decision. Is a decision based on common sense. 17 matches in 7 weeks, April and May. 17 matches with 16 players is completely impossible.
Looking forward, United's match against Celta will be live on SuperSport 3. While the other semi-final is almost done and dusted, but you can still catch Lyon trying to overturn a 4-1 first leg result and notch a possible comeback of epic proportions, if they do it, against Ajax. And that match is live and kicking 5 minutes to 3 AM on channels 810 and 831 in HD. And there was a huge upset at the Madrid Open when top seed Angelique Kerber had to bow out to Eugenie Bouchard. The Canadian, who also scalped the head of Maria Sharapova earlier, made the German do all the early running, dictating the tempo, taking the first set. And there was more of the same in the second. Kerber continued to struggle as the game went on. And that forehand winner staying out of the reach of the world number 2 woman. In the end, Kerber decided to put a stop to her misery, a left thigh injury leaving her with no choice but to retire from the 4th round. And we are down to the last 8 of the Madrid Open, in what has been the most unpredictable of tournaments. Only 3 of the top 10 seeds remain in contention, and Bouchard's win over Kerber, well, sets her up with a quarter-final clash against 8th seed Svetlana Kuznetsova.
And upset number 2 was in a men's event. 2013 finalist in Madrid, Stan Wawrinka up against Benoit Paire. The Swiss failed to capitalise on a 4-2 lead in the first set, allowing his French opponent to fight back for the win. Now, all that fighting only made Paire tied in the second, and Careless losing his footing here on his service. The world number 52's unforced errors cost him this set like that. And if you thought that was bad, try giving up a 5-2 lead in the third. Well, that's exactly what Wawrinka did here, as Paire recorded his 3rd career win over his opponent, botting the spots in the 3rd round, where he'll be facing Pablo Cuevas. Now, Rafael Nadal was also made to work hard against Fabio Fognini in the 2nd round on his quest towards a 52nd clay court title. Look, his dad was in attendance and, of course, strong support in the capital of Spain. The Spaniards started off strongly as expected, showing some finesse with a drop shot there. Fognini would not be phased, though, pulling off his version of a drop shot. Right back at you, Rafa. And despite taking a 5-3 lead, the Italian allowed Nadal back into contention. He's only got himself and Lady Luck to blame. More unforced errors from the Italian. His 26th actually cost him the first set. Now, the world number 29 did get his way in the second, taking just 49 minutes to force a decider in this match. A little luck, but he was quick to acknowledge that. So humble, Mr. Nadal, so humble you are. The world number 5 may have lost his grip on his towel, but not the match. After close to 3 hours, Nadal sealed it with another unforced error from Fognini. It's been 2 years since the Italian beat Nadal on clay, and he's got to wait a bit longer before he can. And also through to that round is Novak Djokovic. He has to take on Feliciano Lopez next. And as for Sir Andy Murray, Borna Coric stands in his way to the quarterfinals. You can catch all that and more in our live coverage of the Madrid Open from 6 p.m. tomorrow on SuperSport 2. Leave that remote control alone, because after the break, we'll have the draw for the 2019 Rugby World Cup in Japan.
And we didn't forget the answer to Trivia Thursday. Have you figured it out yet? Well, we'll see you in about 2 minutes.
Say hello to more new routes. Malindo Air invites you to adventure away in Brisbane. Wander into the seaport city of Yangon. And hustle away in Guangzhou, China's 3rd largest city. Premium service inclusive of meals, in-flight entertainment, and 30 kg baggage allowance. Book now at malindoair.com.
The Prudential Astro Masters celebrates 20 years of golfing excellence and is back to challenge golfers on the best courses with great goodies plus awesome prizes in all par 3s, including a Mazda 6 valued at 216,000 ringgit. The Grand Finals takes place in Muscat, Oman. So don't miss out. This could be your year.
Welcome back. Now the draw for the 2019 Rugby World Cup sees New Zealand's grouped with South Africa.
They are drawn.
We're coming to a World Cup that I guess we'll be one of the favourites if we continue to keep winning between now and then. And you know, I'd rather be coming as a favourite than because you've been winning than coming as a team that hasn't been winning. So, you know, winning gives you confidence.
You know, should ask me whether we're ready to do well in the World Cup as we are now. I'd say no, definitely not. But in 2 years' time, we will be ready. I can guarantee you that. The expectation from South Africa is not just to go through in the pool and win your pool, but it's definitely to get to the final. And, you know, having looked at the draw, I'm very comfortable with the draw. If you want to be the champion, you've got to be the best team.
We're not going in the tournament to you know, just participate. Or, you know, we'll have fun, yeah, but we're not going to, we want to hold the trophy. We got so close last year and you know, maybe in 15, sorry, and you know, like I said, I don't think many people thought that would be the case, and probably right now, not many people are thinking the same way either. But we believe, you know, inside of ourselves and as a team, and our players have got the ability to step up when that occasion comes. And there's a bit of work to do between now and then, no doubt, but that's what we're going there to do.
Two-time champs Australia find themselves in the same group as three-time quarter-finalists Wales and outsiders Georgia. Meanwhile, 2003 winners England will have to contest last year's fourth-place team Argentina in Group C. The World Cup will kick off on the 20th of September 2019 in Japan.
And what a year it's been for Jason Day. Out of 8 tournaments played so far, the former world #1 has failed to make the cut in 2 of them. And he's only finished in the top 10 once. The top 20? Just twice. As the defending champ at this week's Players' Championship, the current world #3 also explains how his priorities have somewhat changed over the years.
I could sense that being #1 and all that stuff was getting pretty hard. Mentally more so than physically. Just the mental demand that you have on you, the expectations, and it's very, very easy to get burnt out in a sense. So you know, I'd love to win, you know, every week, but unfortunately it's very, very difficult to do. And as you go through your career, priorities kind of change back and forth, and you know, with what had happened earlier this year with some off-course stuff, my mind was kind of elsewhere. I think it's more so actually looking at the mountain as a metaphor, is that you're climbing that mountain again, and do you really want to climb that mountain? That's the biggest thing. Do you really want to go, you know what, I'm kind of happy being down at base camp right now, and base camp may be 3 in the world, or maybe 20 in the world, or maybe 50 in the world, you know what I mean? It just depends on what base camp you're at. And you know, being able to climb that mountain is very difficult, because sitting back and knowing that I've done it before and how much work I actually had to put into it, and is tough in itself, because you're sitting there going, man, that's all I think about is golf, and that's all I wake up, sleep and eat is based on golf and getting to #1 in the world.
Time for us to reveal the answer to Trivia Thursday.
Yep, earlier we asked you who was the last Arsenal player to score 14 or more away goals in a single Premier League season.
The answer is not Henry, not Bergkamp, or even Cesc Fabregas. It's Francis Jeffers.
No, the infamous Emmanuel Adebayor, of course.
Yes, of course. Sanchez's tally of 14 away goals in the league is actually the highest for any Arsenal player in the Premier League era.
Well, Adebayor's tally was at 11 before popping out with a hat-trick to savour against Derby County. And of course, before we go, a little bit from the local front. If you didn't already know, the FAM president is urging Malaysian government to impose a travel ban to North Korea in order to help our national football team.
Yes, because the government's current travel advisory would mean the team will be penalised if they actually withdraw from the Asian Cup match set to take place, of course, in North Korea.
Which will likely ruin our country's ranking. So grab some popcorn and tune into Nadi Arena on channel 801 for more on this.
Yes, and Dana is up next at 8 p.m. on Supersport 3 with Mighty Daily. More from Amanda and Azan on tomorrow's show.
M&M signing out. Bye.
It's their time to rise. Europe's top football clubs go all out to survive the crunch of the playoffs. Working hard, playing harder. The UEFA Europa League, live on Astro Supersport channels.
Miss Martin, you haven't paid your tuition. We'll have to ask you to leave.
You can't do this.
What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna find a space, do it myself. A hip-hop Romeo and Juliet.
Is it always about dance?
Dance is the way I speak.
Needs a lot of work.
Nothing a mop and nails won't fix.
That's being optimistic.
Honey 3 premieres Saturday, May 13th, 10 p.m. on HBO.
Albert.
Albert. How can something travel through nothing?
Rebellion will get you nowhere.
Monogamy is not natural.
How could you be so callous with my heart?
The past, present, and future is but an illusion.
Genius, a global event series, Sunday nights at 10, exclusively on National Geographic.
The headlines from Omnisport on Thursday, the 11th of May. Real battle into Champions League showpiece. Arsenal win to keep top four hopes alive. And Rooney wants Old Trafford stay. Also in the programme, Ginobili stars as Spurs beat Rockets. Injured Kerber is beaten in Madrid. And Sergio hopes to add to Masters glory. We start with football, and Real Madrid survived a scare to reach a third UEFA Champions League final in 4 years after beating City rivals Atletico 4-2 on aggregate. The task seemed relatively simple for Zinedine Zidane's side after Cristiano Ronaldo's first leg hat-trick had given them a 3-goal advantage. But Diego Simeone's men burst into a 2-goal lead after just 16 minutes thanks to Saul's opener and an Antoine Griezmann penalty. However, Isco tapped home from close range to give Real a vital away goal. They face Juventus in the final.
Sí, que ellos salieron fuerte, además jugando el segundo balón.
They came out really strong, onto the second balls, and with the ball in the air. They got a goal from a corner when we were not watching. Then a penalty. That's part of football. We knew we'd suffer. We also knew that with patience, we would find spaces. And we got playing, especially in the second half.
A encontrar ocasiones. Y bueno, después de los 25 minutos cambió totalmente la segunda.
In England, Arsenal eased past Southampton to keep their Premier League top four hopes alive. Second half goals from Alexis Sanchez and Olivier Giroud secured a comfortable win for the Gunners. Back-to-back victories leave them just 3 points behind fourth place Manchester City.
We can only win our games, and we had a strong performance on Sunday, we had a strong performance today, so let's just continue.
Would you like to stay?
Would I like to stay? I've been at this club 13 years. Of course, I want to play football.
Yeah.
Okay, of course.
Manchester United's Wayne Rooney's given the biggest hint yet he's set to stay at the club. The Englishman was present the last time United made a major European final. Jose Mourinho's men will have the chance to book their place in another, the Europa League showpiece, with victory over Celta Vigo. Marcus Rashford's free kick sealed a vital 1-0 win in the first leg at the Balaidos, and Mourinho's described the game as one of United's most important.
I think in terms of motivation, we are even. For Celta is, in their words, the most important match of their history, and in my feelings, is also the most important match of our history. It doesn't matter what happened before, doesn't matter how big a matches we played before.
In the other semi-final, Ajax hold a 4-1 advantage over Lyon as they aim to take their place in Stockholm.
Bien sûr, c'est dangereux, surtout parce qu'on a une équipe très jeune.
Of course it's dangerous, because we have a very young team. But tomorrow we play our 18th European game of the season. So even if we're young, we have experience.
Même qu'ils sont jeunes, on a quand même quelques expériences.
But the game is not played in advance.
C'est pas joué déjà, c'est sûr.
We'll have the news and reaction in tomorrow's show.
Ginobili's on him. He's got O'Shea. What a play by Ginobili!
Now the San Antonio Spurs dug deep to snatch an overtime win over the Houston Rockets to take a 3-2 series lead in the second round of the NBA playoffs. Manu Ginobili the hero with a late denial of Rockets star man James Harden.
Knocked it away! San Antonio wins in overtime!
After a fast Spurs start, it was the Beard making the ground up for Houston. Ginobili was already showing signs this was going to be his day.
Ginobili slashes and drives!
Kawhi Leonard then rolled his ankle but was determined to play on. Danny Green stepped up to make a succession of threes.
Rounded three.
But Eric Gordon fired the Rockets ahead once more.
Three. Good! He caught it! 2.5 to go.
That was until Ginobili drove in.
Shot clock at 5, the scoop and the score!
Harden then fouled LaMarcus Aldridge when he had the chance to win it.
Oh, the defender fell, the shot was put up.
Offensive foul.
That is a foul.
Leonard was then forced off by his injury. And Patty Mills lost track of time in the dying seconds.
Mills, lot of time. Oh! But they waved it off.
Green became the main man, making 7 of his 16 points in OT. But Ryan Anderson snatched the lead again for Houston. Green returned the favour.
Harden takes it inside. Danny Green.
With 10 seconds left, the teams gathered for a jump ball. Houston got possession, but Harden was denied.
Here's Harden, Ginobili's on him. He's got O'Shea, what a play by Ginobili!
Ginobili sending the AT&T Centre into pandemonium.
Oh man, just this intensity. Our fans, they did a great job. They bring the best out of Manu. He came in early, had a dunk, which surprised everybody, but a big block at the end. He does every little thing we need him to do. He doesn't care about scoring points or assists. He just wants to win the game, and you know he's great for us right now, and we just need him to continue that next game.
Kawhi Leonard said after San Antonio's Game 5 win that he will not miss Game 6 with ankle and knee injuries. Leonard injured his left ankle in the third quarter Tuesday, but stayed in the game until Spurs staff pulled him late in the fourth. With a 3-2 series lead, San Antonio can close out the series Thursday in Houston. Now out of the playoffs, Utah Jazz All-Star Gordon Hayward has some decisions to make. He can opt out of his current deal with Utah and become an unrestricted free agent this offseason, but he said he'll take some time to enjoy his family before thinking about what he called the next chapter. Hayward averaged a career-best 21.9 points this season and upped his stats in every category in the postseason. With the latest news that Kobe Bryant has mentored Celtic star Isaiah Thomas throughout the postseason, the five-time NBA champ is prepared to be called upon more often. Bryant, who actively talks with James Harden, Kyrie Irving, Russell Westbrook, and Gordon Hayward, said he's, quote, an open book, and claims to be readily available at all hours because, quote, you never know who might call. And that's your Daily Dish from around the NBA.
Tennis now, and the stars of the WTA Tour are in Madrid, as preparations for the French Open continue apace. World number 2 Angelique Kerber versus Eugenie Bouchard, the pick of the last 16 action. Bouchard, who'd beaten arch-nemesis Maria Sharapova in the previous round, lost her opening 2 service games, but showed great resilience to break back immediately on both occasions. The top seed has struggled in 2017, having reached just 1 final so far this season. And the Canadian would continue to make things difficult for Kerber, the world number 60's power helping her seal the opener. Bouchard has the better of their head-to-head meetings, having triumphed in 3 of their last 5. And she'd continue to dominate in the second set, especially off her backhand. Kerber was clearly struggling with a left thigh problem, as she lost her 7th straight game. And it wasn't long before the injury forced her to retire. Bouchard reaching her maiden Premier mandatory quarter-final. She'll face Russian Svetlana Kuznetsova next.
Also through to the last 8 is Simona Halep, who battled past Sam Stosur in an enthralling contest. The defending champion came storming out of the blocks, her trademark ground strokes from the baseline proving too much for Stosur in the initial stages. Delight for Halep as she took the first set. The 2011 US Open winner showed her battling qualities in the second. The Australian veteran running her higher-ranked opponent ragged as she made it 1 set apiece. The third seed would regain the momentum though, with her passing game coming to the fore.
Got her again. And it's Halep who breaks first in the decider.
The Romanian seeing off the 16th seed in just under 2 hours as she remains on course for back-to-back wins here.
Meeting Halep in the quarters is Coco van der Wey, who overcame home favourite Carla Suarez Navarro in an epic 3-setter. There was little to separate the pair in the opening exchanges, but Suarez Navarro pounced late in the first set, clinching the decisive break in the 12th game. Van der Wey won the previous meeting between the pair and should fight back in the second. Her power from the baseline helping force a decider. In a seesaw third set, which featured 5 breaks of serve, it was the American who'd eventually book her spot in the next round after a grueling encounter.
Still ahead, group of death for England at Rugby World Cup. Youngles hangs on to Giro lead. And Italy legend Tardelli takes the Opta quiz.
superb run. And he finds the back of the net. What an extraordinary day he has had.
Got to score. Got to score. No excuses.
How unlucky can you get? There is no such thing as perfect. It had controversy, it had goals. That is football's seventh heaven.
Fans are very important for us. Thank you for the support and keep going.
This broadcast of the Premier League is brought to you by Brickfields Asia College, the fastest and smartest way. MyEG, your e-government service provider. And Wanda Coffee. Try the new Wanda Extra Presso.
Hey, wait, come back. This is not a commercial. It's not a commercial. Actually, it is, lah. It's more than that, though. As a consumer, we always want extra perks for everything we buy. Waterproof one on this phone. Wow, slow-mo shot. Oh. You guys are serious about a demo. Oh. In most loyalty programs, when you purchase something, they reward you with either cash or points. But at Senheng, for every item you purchase, you get both cash and points. Double rewards. Shock, right? Oh, yo! It's the Samsung SUHD Curve TV! Hey, this TV waterproof one, ah?
Say hello to more new routes. Malindo Air invites you to adventure away in Brisbane. Wander into the seaport city of Yangon. And hustle away in Guangzhou, China's third largest city. Premium service inclusive of meals, in-flight entertainment, and 30 kg baggage allowance. Book now at malindoair.com.
The Prudential Astro Masters celebrates 20 years of golfing excellence and is back to challenge golfers on the best courses with great goodies plus awesome prizes in all par 3s, including a Mazda 6 valued at 216,000 ringgit. The Grand Finals takes place in Muscat, Oman. So don't miss out. This could be your year.
A reminder of the headlines from Omnisport. Real heading to Cardiff after Atletico scare. Sanchez boosts Arsenal's Champions League chances. And advantage Spurs in NBA playoffs. Golf now, and exactly a month after Sergio Garcia's maiden major win, he returns to action at the scene of his previous top triumph. The Spaniard claimed the Players' Championship, the unofficial 5th major, back in 2008 at Sawgrass. That, of course, was surpassed by Green Jacket glory 9 years later. But does he believe his Augusta achievement will spur him on to even greater things?
I mean, I hope it does. I hope it helps me on that aspect. But I don't know. That's going to be interesting to see when I get back in it. It doesn't mean that I'm going to win everyone that I get in contention now. But it obviously gives you a little bit extra confidence, which is always important. But I'm excited to put myself in that situation again and see if I can use some of those things that help me win Augusta.
For reigning Players' Champion Jason Day, it's been an altogether tougher year. Since claiming the title here last year, he hasn't won again, lost the world #1 spot, and dealt with his mother's cancer diagnosis.
For a moment there, after I lost my world ranking, #1 world ranking, I kind of lost a desire to kind of be there. And I think I was just because I was mentally burnt out from everything that had gone on. Early this year with some distractions, finally I can kind of, take a breath and sit back and go, okay, I need to kind of start my trip back to, up the mountain again.
Dustin Johnson took over from Day at the summit, and the US Open champion showing no signs of letting up with 3 victories in his last 4 starts.
My game as a whole has gotten a lot better, and I'm interested to see how I can play here this week. But it's definitely a new challenge. I haven't had a lot of success around here, so it's definitely a challenge for me. But I feel like if I'm going to play well here, this is the time that I will play well.
Rory McIlroy's without a win since September, but things are still looking rosy for the Northern Irishman. Just weeks after getting married, the world number 2 signed a long-term deal with TaylorMade for bags, clubs and balls.
It seems like everything's very settled. There's not many question marks going on in my life right now. I feel like everything's exactly where it's meant to be, and if you feel like that off the golf course, then I can only imagine that it'll help you on it.
We'll have more ahead of the Players' Championship later in the programme.
We're coming here to try and win the thing, and as long as we acknowledge that to ourselves, that creates pressure, and acknowledge to ourselves how we're going to deal with that pressure, then it doesn't become a burden.
New Zealand head coach Steve Hansen clearly confident his side can lift the Rugby World Cup for the 3rd straight time, following the draw in Japan for the 2019 edition. The All Blacks will face Rugby Championship rivals South Africa, as well as Italy in Pool B. It's Pool C which looks to be the toughest though, with England having been drawn alongside France and Argentina. But Eddie Jones believes the group of death could help the Six Nations champions in the latter part of the competition.
To win the World Cup, you've got to win 7 games. We've got 2 very good games in our pool against France and Argentina, so it's great preparation to go to the final stages. So we'll be focusing very carefully on how we've got to beat France and Argentina.
And Australia.
Australia will once again take on Wales in Pool D, having beaten Warren Gatland's side in an epic game at the 2015 tournament. Wallabies head coach Michael Cheika now focused on making sure his team peak in 2019.
We're in a cycle of change where we had 13 debutants last year. We'll probably have a few more this year on purpose so that we can get them ready for the World Cup. Like to have that a year or 2 experience so they're ready for the World Cup, while at the same time performing.
The teams can now begin their preparations in earnest, with proceedings kicking off in a little over 2 years' time.
To Italy, and the historic Sicilian town of Messina was the endpoint for stage 5 of the Giro d'Italia. Fernando Gaviria adding another win to his collection. With a sprint finish guaranteed, there wasn't great interest in leading a breakaway. Only CCC Sprandi's Maciej Petersky and Gazprom's Evgeny Shalanov went clear. They spent the majority of the day out in front as the peloton meandered up the 4th category climb at Andronico Sant'Alfio. But the chasers held Petersky and Shalanov at close quarters. And Quick-Step Floors was setting the pace, with pink jersey holder Bob Jungels in tow. Eventually the pair were caught with 15 kilometres remaining. As the riders moved into Messina, home favourite Vincenzo Nibali moved to the front. It was his teammate, however, that stole the limelight, not for the right reasons. Luka Pivanik thought he'd won the stage and began celebrating, despite having 1 more lap still to go. The riders that knew what they were doing continued. Bora Hansgrohe's Sam Bennett led but faded as Gaviria and Wilier Triestina's Jakub Mareczko closed in. And the Colombian came through to claim his 2nd victory of this year's tour. Race leader Jungels held his 6-second overall lead from Team Sky's Geraint Thomas.
Yeah, of course, went perfectly today, and it was really dangerous and pretty crazy final.